All right, Section 1, the global sidearm evolution, shedding the weight of the past.
To really instantly visualize this modern demand for lighter, faster gear, just look at these numbers. The UK military essentially traded in their 40-year-old Browning for a brand new Glock. They took a 1,000-gram weapon holding 13 rounds and swapped it for a 905-gram weapon holding 17. So they cut the weight, boosted the capacity, and completely eliminated that clunky external manual safety catch. It's a perfect snapshot of where military tech is heading.
Moving right along to Section 2, the Polymer Revolution. Welcome to the era of plastic and striker-fired systems.
Okay, the story behind this one is absolutely wild. Back in 1980, the Austrian military put out a call for a new pistol that could survive a 2-meter drop straight onto solid steel. Gaston Glock entered the competition. And get this, at the time, the guy was literally producing curtain rods and knives. But because he wasn't tied down by centuries of traditional gunsmithing rules, he tried something crazy. He used high-strength polymer. He stripped away every unnecessary complication and created a highly reliable system with just 34 parts. It was unbelievably light, and it changed how every military on Earth thought about sidearms.
And you can literally watch this idea spread like wildfire. Austria obviously jumped on board early in 1980 with the P80, but it kept going. Decades later, major European powers like the UK in 2013 and France in 2019 finally threw in the towel, abandoning their legacy mid-century pistols for these battle-proven polymer systems.
Now, a massive part of this transition wasn't just the plastic frame, it was the actual safety mechanism. A striker-fired system relies on 3 internal safeties working perfectly together: the trigger, drop, and firing pin safeties. Because the safety is basically built right into the trigger itself, a soldier can drop the thing or kick it through the mud and it won't fire. But when seconds matter, they can draw and fire instantly without fumbling around for a stiff external lever.
Which brings us to Section 3, Modularity and Western Standards. Adapting to the diverse modern soldier.
If you look at standard military sidearms in the West today, it's like they're all reading from the exact same checklist. Whether we're talking about Germany's new CZP-13 rolling out in 2026 or Japan's HK-SFP-9, the demands are totally unified. They want 9x19mm NATO ammo, polymer frames, rails to mount flashlights, and slides pre-cut for red dot optics. Because, incredibly fast target acquisition is the name of the game.
So why did the US Army ditch their classic Berettas for the SIG Sauer M17? 2 words. Well, actually, scratch that. 3 words. Fire Control Unit, or FCU. In this system, the actual legally registered firearm is just this tiny stainless steel frame tucked inside the grip. You can pop it out and drop it into a totally different sized plastic shell in a matter of seconds. It brilliantly acknowledges a vital modern truth. In a highly diverse military force, one size almost never fits everyone.
Just to hammer home how crucial ergonomics have become, get a load of this number, 27. That is the number of individual grip shape combinations you can make on Japan's new HK-SFP-9 sidearm. By mixing and matching interchangeable backstraps and grip shells, they are prioritizing an absolutely perfect fit for every single soldier's hand.
Flipping the script now. Section 4. Heavy hitters, piercing armor, velocity and penetration over modularity.
Here's the million-dollar question driving an entirely different combat doctrine. What happens when your enemy is rocking modern ballistic vests and helmets? The standard 9mm NATO round is fantastic, don't get me wrong, but it can seriously struggle against modern protective gear. If your main concern is an armored opponent, well, lightweight plastics and fancy interchangeable grips simply aren't going to save you. And that brings us to a very specific, fascinating caliber, 5.8 millimeters. The Chinese military primarily issues the QSC-92 sidearm, and it's chambered not in standard 9mm, but in this smaller, incredibly fast 5.8mm round. Because of its sheer velocity, this thing behaves almost like a miniature rifle bullet. It has the raw kinetic energy needed to just zip straight through light ballistic helmets at close range.
If we break down these combat doctrines, it's like a giant puzzle with completely different approaches. You can clearly see the USA's focus on universal 9mm modularity. But contrast that against Russia and China. Their top priority? High-pressure armor-piercing capabilities. Even Vietnam's K-14VN intentionally utilizes a 7.62 caliber round, specifically for extended reach and heavy velocity. Let's zoom in on Russia for a second. Their MP443 Grach pistol stuck with traditional steel, making it a chunky 950 grams. But hey, that weight isn't a sign of outdated tech. Form follows function here. They built it to fire the 7N21 cartridge. That is a wildly high-pressure round with an exposed, hardened steel core right at the tip, designed to punch through vests. Firing that creates a massive kick, so that heavy steel frame isn't an accident. It's structurally necessary to handle all that extreme energy and keep the shooter's sight steady.
Finally, Section 5, the rugged steel holdouts, purpose-built for extreme environments.
Let's circle back to Vietnam's K-14VN. They built an entirely modern pistol, but they intentionally kept a heavy, solid steel frame finished with this super dark, durable coating. Why? Because of monsoon rains. Tucked inside that steel frame is a modular hammer group, basically a complete trigger assembly you can lift right out as a single piece. In a tropical jungle where relentless moisture and grit will just destroy a delicate machine, they prioritized a heavy-duty frame and easy deep cleaning over saving a couple of ounces.
Honestly, there are undeniable mechanical perks to heavy steel. We're talking significant recoil mitigation and extreme durability. Take Israel's Jericho 941, famously dubbed the Baby Eagle. It's a prime example. Its full metal frame and slide-in rails offer unbelievable stability and a really manageable recoil. Out in the gritty, harsh desert, they rely on that sheer mass to guarantee uncompromising dependability.
And man, we absolutely cannot talk about rugged steel without giving a nod to the Italian Beretta 92 FS. Someone once described it as a machine that feels like it belongs in a museum and a holster at the same time, which really hits the nail on the head. It's this heavy, soulful, double-action steel legend. It features a unique open-top slide design, which isn't just to look cool, it practically guarantees spent brass won't get caught and jam the gun. It's pure, time-tested engineering.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap. 1. Diversity of military sidearms. 2. Pistols around the world. 3. The legendary Browning High Power. 4. The High Power's resurrection. 5. The next generation.
Section 1. Diversity of military sidearms.
So here's the crucial point. While major Western militaries push incredibly hard for standardization when it comes to their primary service rifles, handguns exist in a completely different reality. Honestly, sidearms are often seen as just a step above bayonets on the list of military equipment priorities. Because they're typically issued in much smaller numbers, usually just to officers, specialized troops, or special ops units, they really don't always get those massive standardized procurement programs that rifles do. And this results in a fascinating mishmash. This sheer diversity is driven by specific unit missions, vastly different national budgets, and a very real desire to rely on domestic arms production, just out of local pride.
Section 2. Pistols around the world.
Now, what's really interesting here is the staggering contrast between how different nations approach a sidearm. Just look at Russia at the top. They're fielding the Makarov, which is a weapon designed way back in 1951. It is brutally simple. We're talking constructed of only 27 parts. It's incredibly cheap, super easy to produce, and it has practically zero failure points. But then, contrast that extreme simplicity with Belgium at the bottom. The Belgian military utilizes the highly advanced FN57, which fires a 5.7 by 28mm round. This ammo is shaped almost like a tiny rifle round, which allows for a massive 20-round flush-fitting magazine and actually provides soft armor penetration. Then you've got China's Type 92 firing its own totally unique 5.8 by 21mm armor-defeating round, and South Korea utilizing the domestic Daewoo 5 with a highly innovative triple-action trigger. The underlying philosophies here absolutely couldn't be more different.
Oh, and a quick, kind of hilarious side note about that South Korean pistol we just mentioned. The Daewoo K5 is made by the exact same conglomerate, Daewoo, that makes consumer electronics and automobiles. So think about it, if you ever find yourself needing a slow, highly fuel-efficient compact car, a flat-screen TV, and a military-grade combat sidearm, you literally only need to make one phone call. It's these kinds of bizarre, surprising facts that make the world of global military procurement so much fun to dig into.
Section 3. The legendary Browning High Power.
Now, this pistol has a lifespan that is practically unmatched in modern small arms. The design journey started with the famous American inventor John Browning, who filed the patent back in 1923, cleverly working around his own previous 1911 patents. After he passed away, the design was finalized by Dieudonné Sive at FN in Belgium, and he incorporated a revolutionary 13-round double-stack magazine. It was officially adopted for military service in 1935, and from there, the popularity of this weapon just exploded. Over its lifetime, the sun essentially never set on the high power. It served as a standard sidearm for over 50 armies across 93 different countries.
And this is where history gets really wild. This brilliantly illustrates just how universally recognized the high power's excellence was. During World War II,
we see this massive historical irony play out. When Nazi Germany occupied Belgium in 1940, they took over the FN factory and just kept right on producing the high power for their own forces, designating it the Pistola 640B. But the Allies needed it too, so the plans were smuggled out to the UK and then sent over to the John Inglis and Company plant in Canada. That Canadian factory produced the weapon for British airborne forces, commandos, and covert operatives. Which means, during the absolute largest conflict in human history, this exact same exceptional pistol design was being manufactured and wielded by both the Axis and the Allies at the exact same time.
Section 4. The High Power's Resurrection. So, after 82 years of continuous production, FN officially discontinued the original high power in 2018. But the demand absolutely didn't die. In fact, a massive market of unlicensed clones sprang up overnight to fill the void. You had Turkish companies like Gerzan and American companies like Springfield Armory releasing their own highly popular versions. This clone war essentially forced FN's hand, and so in 2022, FN struck back, completely redesigning and resurrecting the classic all-metal gun. This wasn't just a nostalgic re-release, it was a full-blown evolution. The 2022 FN High Power features some serious modern upgrades. Fully ambidextrous slide locks, an expanded 17-round magazine, an extended beaver tail to eliminate the notorious hammer bite that plagued the original design, and they finally removed that pesky magazine disconnect safety. It just proves that a century-old design philosophy still has a massive appeal.
Section 5. The Next Generation.
But listen, while those all-metal classics have a fiercely dedicated following, major global militaries are undeniably shifting towards standardization around polymer-framed, striker-fired platforms. Just look at this recent quote from Jan Zajic, the CEO of CZ. Our success in this rearmament tender is one of the most significant achievements in CZ's modern history. It clearly confirms the outstanding reputation our firearms have earned. He's celebrating a massive piece of breaking news here. The German Bundeswehr, the German army, has officially selected a new standard sidearm to replace their old HK USPs. Following an open international tender, Germany selected the CZ P10C optics-ready model, which they're designating as the P13 in a flat dark earth finish. And really, this represents the modern ideal for a massive military force today. A reliable, durable, polymer striker-fired service pistol that is optics-ready right out of the box.
Which brings us to a really fascinating crossroads, and the big question I want to leave you with today. As we look back at the evolution of military sidearms, from that diverse mishmash of budgets and local pride to the sheer dominance of the all-metal Browning high power, all the way to today's modern polymer era, which design philosophy do you think will truly define the future? Are the world's militaries just going to march lockstep into the polymer, striker-fired standardization of platforms like Glock and the newly adopted CZ P13? Or is there still room in the holsters of the world's elite forces for a return to the rugged, heavy, all-metal classics like the reborn FN High Power? It's an incredible tension between modern efficiency and classic craftsmanship. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep this question in mind as you watch global defense technology continue to evolve, and I'll see you next time.